Hello viewers, how's it going? This is the Budget Investor and it's good to see you again. Now today I'm really excited to bring this video to you. I think it is the most valuable video I've put out so far and I think you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. You'll get some real actionable changes that you can make in the next week or so. It's going to save you thousands of dollars every year. So what I'd like to go through today is how I actually saved myself over $8,000 a year. Going to look at 7 big costs and how you can cut them out to save you big time. So let's get into it. And with the first one, gym memberships. How many of us treat our gym memberships like a charity? It is a donation that we give every single week, and in return we get the good feeling of knowing that we are supporting the gym but not actually going and doing anything. Most of this is money down the drain, and the reality is that there are so many free resources out there and a lot of stuff that you can do for free. Say down at the park there can be gym equipment, but also going onto the likes of YouTube, there are thousands and thousands of channels delivering valuable workout content for you with nothing more than body weights or stuff that is around your house. So this is a great way that you can stop that charitable donation going out of your bank account every single week to the gym. Moving on to our second big tip is your phone, another reoccurring expense that goes out every single month. So what I did here was, instead of having myself on a $50 or a $60 plan that would give me all the internet that I could hope for in the world to be able to use out of my day, I cut that right down to the cheapest plan available and tried making it work from there. Now obviously the big difference between these plans was just the amount of internet availability. So all I had to do was change my habits a little bit to use more Wi-Fi. In the end, I ended up on a $30 plan, which had just enough internet for me to get around town and everywhere that didn't have Wi-Fi available. And that was quite significantly cheaper than some of the $60 plans that would have had enough. What I see all too often these days as well is that the telecommunication companies are very smart at packaging up their new phone sales with these very expensive plans. We're talking $80, $100 a month. And it sounds like a really good deal, but what you don't realize is if you do the math over the long term, they are very much getting their money back because these plans go for like 2 or 3 years. So it might look like you're getting a deal, but in the end, these plans cost you a lot more than if you just bought the phone and had it on a reasonably small plan. So let's get into the third tip, which is online subscriptions. Now you might be seeing a theme here, a lot of reoccurring costs. There's just too many in our lives, and this is one area which reoccurring costs have grown significantly. We only need to look at all the options out there available these days. You know, you have your Disney Plus, your Hulu, your Netflix, you have all your different sports organizations now releasing league passes online. There is just far too many of them that we are signed up for these days. We never used to be signed up to anything, remember? We used to only get it on the TV. Now, at worst, some people might have half a dozen of these subscriptions, and they can all range from $8 a month up to $20 or even more a month. And when you add that up, we're talking hundreds of dollars every year. So if you can eliminate even just 1 or 2 of these, you might save yourself $100 or $200. This rolls nicely into my next point, which is cable TV. So historically, we've always had cable TV, but as we noted in the last point, a lot of our entertainment has actually moved online now. And the reality is, as an individual, we can't be using both online entertainment as well as our cable TV. So we really need to weigh up, is it really worth it anymore? In fact, you might find that you spend all your time on Netflix only. So instead, you might not want to get rid of Netflix, but you've got that Sky subscription set up on your TV that you no longer use. I got rid of Sky and that was over $600 every single year for a cable TV box that I never used anymore. So let's go into point number 5. It's the dreadful coffee break. Now, we all have fond memories of coffee. It's a morning ritual for most people. You know, you can't start the day without it. I've just got to go down, get my cup of coffee from my local, start the day off on the right foot. But what we don't realize is that might be starting on the right foot, but you're burning a hole in your wallet. It might just be $5 today, but if you add that up over the whole year, that's about $1,250 that you are spending. And that's only for one coffee a day. Imagine if you're a 2 coffee a day person, you just can take that number and double it. It really does burn quite a large hole in your pocket. So what I did here was that I realized that the value of the coffee wasn't really worth that to me, and I was actually quite fine having just instant or espresso or whatever that my workplace put on for me. And so I basically reduced that cost down to 0. Heading into point 6, very similar to coffee, is lunchtime. Now, this was my biggest offender of the lot of them. Most of the time, I'm too lazy to go out and prepare my own lunch. So I was buying lunch 5 days a week. And you know, lunch quite often can cost between $10 and $20 per meal, depending on what you're having for lunch that day. So I made a huge saving here. Making lunch at home can cost you as little as $5 if you were to really go and work it all out. So that's a saving of $10 to $15 every single day. That is like 2, 3, or 4 coffees savings a day. So it can really have a large impact here. Instead of you spending like $75 a week on all your lunches, you might only be spending around $20 to $25 on your homemade lunch. So you can make big savings here. And personally, you know, this saves me over $2,500 every year just by doing this. And going into my last point is also, you know, quite closely related to the workplace is, well, I've got to get to work, don't I? And if I looked at it, I was driving and paying for petrol and parking on top of that. So while driving was a good option for me being able to pick and choose what time I went to and from work more easily, because I don't have to stick to a transport schedule, the real cost was in the petrol and the parking every single day. When I went back and worked out what this was costing a week, I think it was costing me around $80 in all up. So it was about $50 in parking and about $30 of petrol every single week, and I didn't have to drive very far. When I went back and compared that to the public transport rates, 5-minute walk to the train, get on the train, and then a 5-minute walk off the train to work, so about 10 minutes of walking, the rest was train. All this would only cost me around $40 a week, so I could actually half the cost of my transport bill. And if we work that out over the whole year, that was about $2,000 in savings. So let's go into a quick summary of all this. We've been through a lot of small things, some big, some small, but if we're going to look at it at a summary level, it gets even more drastic, the change. So I went through and I added all of these things together, and it came up to just shy of $12,000. My God, I did not realize I was spending that much money. With these new changes that I've gone and done now, I've brought it down to just under $4,000, and there's been a huge change that I've noticed in my bank balance at the end of each week or month, and it's directly as a result of just these small changes. I went through, I looked at my expenses, I realized what was and wasn't valuable in my life, and I just went cut, and oh my, did it make a huge difference. So that's it. That's just a quick insight into what has had a real profound impact on my ability to save and make me better off financially. I know that this is saving me $8,000 a year. I mean, whether I spend that $8,000 on holidays or investments or whatever I do, it's far better than being $8,000 poorer as I was before. Now I have so much more freedom to do what I like. So once again, big thank you for sticking through the video. If you have received any benefit from this, remember, pass it on, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. It really does help get the message out. And thank you for watching what I think's been my most impactful video today. Catch you next time.